What your mom said to you at that age wasn't about you. She was telling that to her own inner child. She was yelling at her own inner child for, why didn't you work harder? Why didn't you make more money? Why didn't you do more so that now you could give your children more? And she didn't know how to handle that. So she took that out on you because that's the only way she could think. If I made you better, then I would be better. Then I could go back to my parents and say, look at my successes. My kid's in Stanford. My kid works at Google. And I go, but that's not yours to carry. That was never yours to carry. I'm emotional because I'm also like remembering a conversation I had with my own therapist. And it was so simplistic and it was so easy. She once told me, unconditional love is a child's birthright. So obvious, right?
Of course.
Like, obviously. Like, you look at a child, like a baby, and you're like, you deserve love. Like, no, you don't have to do
just for
anything.
the fact that you are.
Just because you are.
Yeah.
And I remember such a simple and easy thing when I first heard it, I just started crying. I just started bawling. And I didn't understand why. And it was such a simple phrase of just like, it's like you just deserved love, not because you had to be anything, just because you were. And I think that at the core of it is the love that I had to learn how to go back and re-give myself. And that's what happened through the inner child work, the IFS.
This is so powerful. And I can feel your emotion too. Because like you said, all of us, and it's not about blame, right? Because blame's disempowering. Awareness is different than blame.
100%.
With awareness, I can take a empowering stance on how I choose how things happened for me.
Yeah.
Now, from a language perspective, if something happens to you or for you, there's a significant impact to the unconscious mind. How deep in writing the book and in being a teacher and in working with these high achieving professionals, like how deep did you actually go into NLP? And was there a moment where NLP really clicked for you, where you thought, wow, the words I speak create my reality? Or was it more of like a long-term thing?
I think at this point, I just think that NLP is just part of how I communicate.
It's part of your being.
I don't know if I practice NLP. Like I think I was leading a workshop the other day and I was just like leading a meditation and somebody asked me, I think someone in the group who had some background was just like, I just want to check, like, were you putting us in a trance? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess so. Whoops. So the reason I say that is that, of course, because the way we talk to ourselves, we're programming ourselves at any given moment.
Yeah.
One of my favorite tools, by the way, when I was dealing with like some of the toughest days, where nothing was going right, where I was like just dealing with problems at work, problems in relationship, all that kind of stuff. And I just felt really low and really down on myself. One of the quickest ways, I didn't realize this, but your brain works like a search engine. In other words, it processes whatever questions you give it, kind of like Google. And I found this out is that if you ask yourself why, followed by whatever you want to program, your brain will automatically look for reasons. So I was in a pattern where I was constantly looking for reasons of why I'm not good enough. I never noticed that until that time. I was just like, anytime something bad happens, they're like, oh, of course that happened. This is why it is that nobody cares. This is why it is that I'm like, I'm a screw up. I'm a blah, blah, blah. Now I have all this kind of like negative self-talk constantly running in the background, kind of like this very low hum of inner criticism. And it wasn't a voice of anger. When I was doing my own IFS work, my therapist asked me what that person, the voice, looked like. And I was like, he looked like a bureaucrat. And I described him as a guy wearing a brown vest, boring glasses, and he just had a checklist. And he was like an accountant. And he was just grading everything in my life and giving it a bad grade. And my therapist asked me, it's like, well, what happens when you can finally get a good grade? And it's like, well, I'll be let in. And she's like, let in where? And I'm like, I don't know. But that's where I want to go. And it was accepted, right? Wherever it is that everyone else gets to be, being happy, being accepted. So I decided, okay, what if I could reprogram that? And I just started asking myself, why does everyone love me? Why does everything go well for me? Like, I'm done accepting that. I'm like, I just started reprogramming. Like, why does everything seem to go well for me recently? And I'll just keep asking myself that question. And it's incredible because then your brain starts looking for things. So when you can't ask yourself, I wonder why does things keep going well for me lately? Without your brain automatically then going, oh, this happened, that was pretty good. I wonder why. This happened, that was pretty good. And your brain just starts focusing on that.
It's much different than just positive thinking, though. This is like positive mapping.
Yes.
It's much deeper than just think positively.
No,
which is really
it's not about
bullshit.
denial. It's not about thinking positive is just like ignoring. It's actually tapping into the gratitude of like, what is reality? Because in reality, the way we take a look at it is the map. As you said, I love that. Positive mapping. What is actually happening here? How do we see where it all fits?
Yeah.
But being more, I think personally, being more realistic.
Realistic on what terms?
Well, we're telling the truth. Right? You ever hear of the 4 questions, I think? Is this true? Do I absolutely know that it's true?
Byron Katie's work.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love it because when you ask a belief, is this true? And do I know without question that it's true? Can I know that it's true? Mm-hmm. You start realizing how many things of like the beliefs that we carry is just poof, out the window.
This is why it's so powerful. Her next question is, who would I be without that thought?
Yeah.
And then the last question is the turnaround, right?
Yeah.
How is this actually all me creating it?
Exactly.
Which is really, it can be very confronting. Yeah. And that's just one modality of healing or introspection. There's many that I think have been informed by her.
Yeah.
But at the core of it all, what I'm getting from you is it's not just about forcing it. Yeah. This is why like 3 years ago, I changed the podcast from wellness force to wellness and wisdom because I didn't like the word force. Right. The etymology of force was like, it didn't feel good. It didn't feel good.
Yeah.
But there's so much power in the wisdom of being able, having the capacity of self-reflection. I mean, there's so many exercises. There's journaling prompts in here. This is an awesome book. And I've read a lot of books. There's been like probably 500 books that I've read. Some of them are here in the studio. The coolest part about your work is that you don't have to go from A to Z all up front.
No.
You can literally just like scan the beginning and be like, okay, which one actually feels the most wounded in me? And I don't say that out of shame, right? Like, which part of the table of contents do I feel like I'm going to go towards because it's actually my soul calling me forth for healing? And that's the coolest part is like, I think people can get really overwhelmed with the conversation of generational healing or, I feel all these things, but yet I don't know how to feel them, nor do I have the understanding of what that looks like. Is there a starting place? I understand there's page 1 and page 300, but is there a starting place for, and let's just go to the Asian culture, right? Sure. In the Asian culture, the wounds that you've spoken about, which by the way, are not exclusive to the Asian culture. These wounds happen in all cultures, right? Yep. You mentioned some of them. Is there a starting place for just the awareness or the recognition? Call it an emotional inventory, if you will, where people can begin when they're feeling like, God, I wish I wasn't Asian. I wish I was white. Like, where's the beginning stages of introspection there?
That's a really deep question because I think that from my experience, I wish I was an Asian, I wish I was white is a complex thing. There's a part of me that was proud of the fact that I was Asian. But there's also another part of me that recognized that being Asian when I was growing up wasn't an advantage in the sense of like people generally pigeonholed me into this identity. I mean, it was kind of a thing. We talk about the fact that, I'm tall, but people oftentimes would be like, you're tall for an Asian person. You're good looking for an Asian person. Not that people said that specifically, but like quotes like you're blank for an Asian person or like you're really bad at math for an Asian person. It's the identity work, right? And I started going, so am I just not Asian enough? Like, am I a bad Asian? I had a funny moment. We were in I was at a dinner and somebody asked me, what kind of Asian are you? And I think the way that question was meant was like, are you, Chinese, Japanese, whatever it is? And, I was born in Taiwan. Yeah. And my reflexive answer was, not a very good one. Because I'm like, I don't think that I fit into the cultural identity very well.
If you love that video, you'll love the one on the screen right now. Click the one on the screen and enjoy.